But before I start talking about the case studies, there's something else I want to just touch on that has a lot to do with Wenzhou Kean University. I want to tell you a little bit about what students will do here and what sets this university apart from others. When you come here as a student, you might wonder, you'll have questions. Why do we do what we do, and why do we do the way we do it? We're going to talk about case studies, and we'll talk about some other things that might make you curious. You might wonder why we're practicing English here. Students at WKU study English, learn English, and here in the School of Business, they will practice their English. Students learn to reason, to ask questions, to question things, and how to answer those questions through research and critical thinking. Have you ever wondered why we're speaking English right now? Why am I here? Why are we speaking English at WKU? There are more Mandarin speakers in the world than there are English speakers. Why are we studying in English? I don't mean necessarily the historical or political reasons why we're speaking English. We could be speaking Spanish or French or Japanese or Mandarin. But we're speaking English, and there's a reason for that. Just consider the following. Ask yourself this question: what percentage of the people in the world speak English as their first language? And I think you'll be surprised. What percentage of the people in the world speak English as their first language? It's less than 5%. That's a big surprise to most people. Less than 5% of the people in the world speak English as their first language. What percentage of the Earth's population speaks English as an additional language, a second or third language? And that would include, of course, all of our students here, millions of people actually, India and here in China. There are more people studying English in China than there is in England, the USA, Canada, and Australia combined. Yeah. Less than 25% of the people on Earth speak English as an additional language. What percentage of international business is conducted in English? More than 95%. More than 95%. And what percentage of international diplomacy is conducted in English? And that, of course, is more than 99%. I think there's only one country that doesn't use English as a language of diplomacy, and that would be our neighbor. So what can you conclude from this information? Such a small number of native English speakers doing so much business. Is it possible? It's unlikely. I think we can conclude from this data that most business is not conducted by people who are not native English speakers. So the question is, who's speaking English and who's doing business, and why we should learn and study English? The students who attend WKU will graduate, and they will do a lot of business in English, and they will do it with people from various other countries. The future of international business will be conducted by non-native English-speaking people. Our graduates will be doing business with Koreans and Japanese and Germans, as well as with native English speakers, including the US. And I think that's very important because it will give our graduates, When they graduate from WKU, they will have a good command of English, and they will be able to understand and do business in English. In fact, they will be extremely well equipped to do business in the future, as English and Mandarin speakers. The world will be their place to do business. So let's get back to the case studies. I'll be brief with you today. I know you're busy, but I want to give an example of how we study case studies and what we do with them. There are various types of case studies. There's reasons for case studies, the process, and then if anyone has any questions. The types of case studies. We don't only do case studies for business. People in other departments do case studies, but they have different names for it. A case study of a person, for example, is rarely called a case study. It's called a biography. A case study of tree frogs, which our colleagues might do in the building next door, is biology research. The process is the same, the idea is the same, the topic is different. A case study of historical places. If you do a case study of the Great Wall, it's called archaeology. A case study of business, which is what we do in this building and in this program, is done for various reasons. We practice the case studies here so students can hone their skills. After they graduate, they will continue to do case studies in their employment. They can do case studies to solve problems, identify or realize opportunities, and identify best and worst practices. Case studies of any and all organizations. Case studies are not always for profit. They're not always designed to improve profit, but that is our focus in this program. Case studies can be done with governments and NGOs as well. So, for our students here, the reasons for case studies is to practice their logical thinking, practice their communication skills, practice writing and presenting and speaking. After they graduate, case studies will be part of a lot of their jobs. If they have jobs in audit, banking, and investment, bankers and investors do a lot of case studies. They have to study how to make money and how to make more money. Managers use case studies, and there's a lot of reasons and a lot of different jobs where people will use case studies. So our students get to practice their skills here that they will use the same skills after they graduate. The parts of a case study are to understand the business, decide what success looks like. That means, what are we trying to accomplish? Identify issues, identify solutions, gather data. And we'll spend a lot of time gathering data and analyzing the data, which is called research. Analyze potential solutions and identify the best solution. Finally, our students will learn how to report their findings to their employer, their boss, or if they have their own business, they can follow the same process and use the information to improve their personal business profits. Defining success is important. Whoever's organizing the case study should know what they're trying to accomplish. Here in the business program, the goal of a case study is almost always to improve the bottom line, how to improve the profitability of the organization. We have to define who is the customer or the decision maker, who wants the work done, and what do they want. If they want to make more money, sometimes the goal is not to make money. For example, if it's a government organization, the goal might be to provide more education to children, to go to another planet. Oh, hello. That's my assistant and a future graduate of our business program. She won't be graduating for quite some time. It'll be a few years. So we define success, and then it's usually related to the vision and mission statements. The background of the organization includes what we call the W's. I don't think this will translate very well into Mandarin, but in English we call it the W's. Who, what, when, where, why, and wow. Well, wow. How? But how doesn't start with W, so we say wow. Yeah, this is how, a framework, a guideline, or a tick list for investigating the organization. Then we ask the 8 questions, and the 8 questions don't vary. The 8 questions are how to understand the business, and it usually has to do with the money. Where does the money come from? Where does the money go? And what do we have to do to keep some of the money? So the questions are, what do they buy? What value they add? What do they sell? Who do they buy from? How does the organization add value in the business? And who do they sell to? And question number 6 is very important, because who they sell to is the customer. And customers are very important in business because customers bring the money. And without the money, there's no party. Who are the competitors or alternatives? And what is the competitive advantage? Why do the customers buy from this particular organization? Once we've gathered all the data and information, we do an analysis. And the goals of the analysis are different while the students are here at WKU. Here, we want the students to demonstrate their reasoning skills, how they logically reach their conclusions, their thinking, cause and effect, and the ability for them to organize their thoughts and their findings into a presentation. The goal here at college for our students isn't necessarily to find the best solution, but we want them to be able to explain how they reached the findings that they have found. There's a lot of different ways to do that. We provide all of the tools and give them experience using the tools that they can use to analyze a business. One of the tools that our students use in the business school is the Steeples Analysis, and they use this to analyze a company or a business. And I won't spend a lot of time on it now, because if I do, then you'll have to take a test later on this material. After the students take the lecture, we give them a quiz. Finally, at the end of the case study, we ask them to summarize their findings and present them in a logical and professional manner, typically using something that we call a SWOT analysis. After our students complete their case study, we ask them to identify the best possible solutions for the company. And as I said before, usually the goal is to improve the profitability of the company. Identifying the possible solutions often entails considerable research, so we do ask our students at times for various projects to leave the campus and to go out into the city or the community and gather data, interview people, ask questions, conduct surveys, and try to figure out what customers want. In the 3rd year of the program, our students will do an actual internship mostly here in Wenzhou, and they'll work with companies here locally to try to help those companies understand their customers better and improve their profitability. So before they graduate, our students actually have real-world practical experience through their internships. We ask them to identify one or two issues that can be accomplished realistically and defensibly, and then make a presentation to their employer, or in the case of their internship, what we call their client. We simulate an actual consulting assignment with our students. When they make a report, we ask them to explain their choices, explain their assumptions, acknowledge risks that may accompany their recommendation, things that can go wrong, and we ask them to include a detailed implementation plan. My background includes working for KPMG as a senior business consultant. In my business unit, we hired MBA graduates by the dozen, and we found that some were much better prepared to actually begin work than others. And we identified the MBA programs and the business schools that best prepared their graduates to actually begin working. And those are the schools that we went to recruit. And that's one of the things that we keep in mind here at WKU is our graduates are ready to go and begin work. And their employers, the feedback that we've gotten from the employers so far after only 2 classes, is that our graduates are ready and make very good employees. So that's the end of my presentation today. This is much briefer than an actual class session, which run 75 minutes. But I know you're having a very busy day today, and there's a lot of things to see and do and talk about. Are there any questions? No? I take that as a compliment. Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for coming, and please enjoy your day today.
Maybe you can get a question from in Chinese, and she can help.
Okay.
Yeah,
You want to?
Yeah, sure.
Others, if they are having some problems,
Yeah.
they can
Any
translate.
questions in
Yeah, so
Chinese?
ask them if they have questions in Chinese.
请问大家有什么问题要问吗？你刚才问过了。好的。They have asked that.
Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your day.